Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to MindShifters Radio with your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce, and his wife, Jeanie. Michael and Jeanie share with you the wisdom of the ancient Aramaic internal process of forgiveness. They offer tools and support 5 days a week. They will support you in building a solid foundation within yourself to live in pure love. In Aramaic, Rachma. Michael is the author of So Why Is This Happening to Me Again? For more information on Michael and Jeanie, please visit www.whyagain.com. And now your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael and Jeanie Ryce.
To the brightness within you and the truth that is rooted within me.
Hi, and welcome to MindShifters Radio with Dr. Michael Ryce. We welcome you to the show today. We are in, what day? Day 7 of our 9-day teacher's training. And things are awesome. Energy's moving. It's been phenomenal. Welcome, Michael, to the show.
Thank you, sweetie. Glad to be here. Glad you're here. We are at Heartland finishing up, as Jeanie says, teacher training, and the energy that's moving is fabulous. Those who are in training to teach are producing a Why Is This Happening to Me Again workshop live, and the variety of presentations, the hilarity, the seriousness, the skits, just extremely creative, and a whole lot of healing going on. So anyway, we're delighted to have you with us on the show. We're glad to be able to support you in learning this amazing process of forgiveness. I'm more and more amazed every time I watch it in action. We have 31 people in our intensive right now, and the full house. So the happening, the energy moving, the processes that are taking place are just, you got to see it to believe it. I mean, some of the deepest, darkest, most burdensome things that humans could bring into a room, we've seen lifted and disappear in just an instant, the kinds of things that literally cancel the thought people commit suicide over. It's just been amazing. So we're here to support you in having that kind of an amazing experience in your own home, in your own world, in your own life. And our commitment is to take the teaching of the ancient Aramaic idea of forgiveness to every mind, heart, and being on planet Earth. What does the word forgive mean? Forgive is the tool with which you change what's happening inside of you. Forgive doesn't mean I let you off the hook because something's happening inside of me. Now, the world has taught us a totally and completely backward idea. Somebody else did it to you. It's all their fault. That's why you're feeling this, as though you could feel something outside of you. Actually, one of the teachers in the course, and he kind of elucidated a little more than I've heard him do before. Dr. Tim is here, who's usually on the show with us. And in his presentation, I love the way he put it together and said it, is that if you have pain going on inside of you, just like if you have an alarm go off in your house, you don't call the fire department and send them to the house 4 blocks away. That's not going to help. And the fire alarm doesn't fix the fire. It's just a warning system. But it's interesting how most people have some sort of pain inside themselves, and they're sure that their pain is caused by someone else. Look what you did to me. And, of course, displaying their pain to that other person is not going to do a thing to change what's going on inside of them. But the tool of forgiveness will. If you're not familiar with how forgiveness works, we invite you to go to our website, www.whyagain.com, soon to become whyagain.org. Actually, you can look at the .org site. We've got a whole new, very exciting website with some new technology, a lot of things happening with it. So jump on the site, and on the old site, on the right-hand side, about 6 links down, you'll see a link that says Download Worksheets. It'll be up near the top on the new site, and we invite you to go and download the forgiveness process, the instructions, chapter 24 from my book, the 7-step worksheet. There are 5 different radio shows that walk you through the whole forgiveness process, step by step by step. Here's how it's done. Live radio shows, the recordings are there, they're free, they're open. Take a listen, walk through the process, and watch. If you do the process and if you stick to it. Now, I see people who come and they want somebody else to do it for them, and they make commitments, but they don't stick to their commitments because they've got too much of an investment in the identity of pain and trauma and turmoil. And so our invitation to you is to give up the identity of pain and trauma and turmoil and take on your true identity. What's the true identity of a human being? Well, that's a difficult thing to put into words. Where are you going to get the words to describe that? So we don't put it into words. We have a simple experiential definition. Hold a newborn child. You know exactly what human life is. Hold a newborn. You know exactly what you're designed to function as. If you're not functioning as that, then you've got work to do. Everything else other than that state is pain, it's turmoil, it's trauma. It does not belong in the human system. It displaces human life, and what we see happening out there where hostility and fear is, as they say, the rage, is not human life functioning. We're here to support the restoration of human life to every mind, heart, and being on the planet. So please, download those worksheets, download the radio shows, give a listen, start putting the pen to the paper. And then, if you have any questions, one of the reasons we're on here 5 days a week, an hour a day, wherever we are in the globe, well, actually, there are a few times when we can't be here, and that's when Dr. Tim usually fills in for us. But we're here to support you in learning that process. So if you start putting the pen to the paper and come across challenges and difficulties, then call into the show and ask your question, and we're here to support you in understanding and applying the tool of forgiveness. One of the things that we have in our agenda is that of removing the reasons on planet Earth for war. In other words, healing the whole game of war and making it safe for humans to show up and to function as humans instead of the non-human hostility and fear that goes on. So we invite you to join us in that. Pick up the worksheet, put the pen to the paper. Now, Jeanie, you came in the room and said you wanted me to ask you to speak right at the beginning. Was that what I heard you say, sweetie? You had something you wanted to share?
No, I said, don't ask me to speak, but I know my regulatory speech says ask me to speak. No, I've been in the kitchen since 6:30 this morning and going like a freight train and then running up the hill when somebody said, it's 10 minutes till showtime. So it was like, nowhere. I did get an email from some... Did
you not get the message that I had opened the control panel?
Yes, I did, but that was when I also, it said, Michael's got you on the control panel, but it's 10 till. So to run up the hill then was, anyway. I do have an email from, I have an email from a lady named Joyce, and she said that the other day she was listening to shows, and it was actually from around the end of July. There was a show where there was a Patricia from Troy, Ohio, that said something about starting a support group. And she said that's about 10 minutes from her, and she would like to know some information. So if Patricia's listening, or if you're in the chat room, if you could talk to me, I'd like to get you two connected. And Joyce, if you're on the phone, she says she listens regularly. Feel free to tap in, press 1, let us know you're on there, and if we can support you in any way, that's what we're here for. So we need to connect these people together so that they can start a support group in Ohio.
Yes. Well, I'm looking right now to see if I have any contact information for Patricia. I don't think she sent, well, you know what? I do. I'll have to see if this is a current phone number, and I'll give her a call. It's Patricia Scherer, Scherer.
Okay.
She's a PhD. She's been here at Heartland. She's done quite a bit of training with us, and so she's on it for starting a support group. And so you might look her up in the phone book, and or if you want to leave Jeanie the information,
Yeah, she's given me her contact information, and so she said she would like to get in touch with her because she said that's only 10 minutes away, and she would love to get with her.
Fabulous.
Yeah. So 646-200-4169 is our call-in number. Press 1. That puts you in queue to talk. We don't have anybody with their hand up yet. I've got an 815 on here, but I'm not sure if that's Dr. Tim. He's been down in the kitchen trudging along with me. Is that you, Dr. Tim?
Yes, that's Dr. Tim.
Well, hey
awesome.
there, Dr. Tim.
I appreciate your help. You weren't on the chore list today, and you just jumped right in there and helped fill in the gap. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Well, I just checked the phone number that I had for Patricia, and it's not a correct number, so we'll follow up and see if we can get a hold of Patricia.
Okay, awesome.
So, Dr. Tim, what an awesome presentation yesterday. I think everybody just got the whole, the lesson that Dr. Tim presented was the purpose of pain, and I think everybody in the room, including me, got it on a new level. So that was awesome.
Well, thank you very much. High praise considering the source.
Yeah, well, it was highly praisable. The variety of presentations that's happening. I'm thinking in particular the second presentation that happened yesterday, and I was just kind of ruminating on it. I'm going to bring it up in the class today. The hilarity of it, and yet at the same time the seriousness of the issues that were addressed. Really, deep-rooted relationship issues. That hilarity certainly opened a space for everybody, and a very awesome way to look at another level of the way they play that sort of thing out and cleaning it up. So it was pretty cool, wasn't it?
It really was, and the idea that even though it was so funny, there were several people in the room that got triggered by it, just is a testament to what you're saying. It really allowed people to get in touch with those dynamics at a different level. In the safety of that room, to get that triggered, that people needed to hold their breath and do worksheets, and it was really powerful. All the presentations have been phenomenal. And I was struck several times yesterday with just waves of gratitude and curiosity about how this level of teacher expertise and experience and energy going out into the world is going to make an impact. It's really amazing.
Absolutely. Very cool. And I don't know if you were there when Julie spoke about how she was kind of, because much of it was spontaneous, although it looked like a professional skit the way it was put together. But I don't know if you were there when she spoke about how shocked and how fear came up for her when her partner in the skit said the word divorce. Were you there when she talked about that?
Yeah, and that was part of the power of that skit, is that a lot of it came up, a lot of the details came up improv, and it triggered both of them. So it was wonderful. Just a wonderful experience.
So we're having fun. Anything in particular that has come across in a new way to you as a result of the last several days?
Well, I think one of the things that...
It's a little hard to hear you, Tim.
I think one of the things that's hit me is, at a new level, how you really don't have to be a professional presenter or teacher. You simply have to have a willingness to dive into this material. And then what you bring in your life experience, your trials and tribulations, as well as your successes and strengths, add to your ability to teach this and to help people get it at a new level.
For sure.
That just really hit me over the past couple of days. That we've got people who, someone stood up yesterday who has never given a public presentation, and in front of all these people, she had comments like she had almost no verbal crutches in her presentation. And I can tell you without any equivocation that she did a far better job than I did the first time I stood up to present publicly. And just having the willingness to dive into things has let people in this group understand they've got strengths they never knew they had.
Absolutely. And the variety of presentations, the creativity from the skits to there's one gentleman here who basically is a handyman kind of guy. And he got up and did an awesome presentation about how the mind only presents evidence. And he used the analogy of a courtroom and a judge. And, I mean, it was just so powerful the way it came across and how the mind works. It's just touching, very touching, very powerful.
And the word we used for it was brilliant.
Yeah.
It was a brilliant
analogy. To me, that's one of the fun parts of it is each presentation, although most people get up with, oh, my goodness, mine's not going to be as good as that last one, and each one has been just A1 in its own right, standing by itself without, no need for comparison to what anybody else did. And I think the variety of presentations just brings the principles across at a whole new level for everybody. So it's definitely a fun process.
Yeah, it's dynamic, it's educational, it stretches people. It's been fabulous.
And for anybody who isn't sure what we're talking about, each year at Heartland we do a teacher training program. It's a 17-day program. It includes a 9-day Why Is This Happening to Me Again, and then a 9-day teacher training segment. So if you're interested in doing that, we'll be working on dates and publishing them soon for what next summer will look like. So plan to come and play with us, and we'll be moving in the direction of Why Is This Happening to Me Again. We'll be doing codependence to interdependence. We'll be doing laws of living. We've got a whole series of things. Actually, a number of people in the group today are talking about coming back together as a group to do laws of living next year, which would be pretty cool.
That's an understatement and a half.
Yeah. Oh, to have this group together for laws of living would be just so incredible.
Hard to believe.
So anyway, our call-in number is 646-200-4169, 646-200-4169. If anybody would like to ask a question or get clear on what we're doing, what we're talking about, how to use the tool, support needed with the tool, we're here to support you. Pick up the phone, give us a call. Or if you're on the phone, push 1. What's your question? What would you like to know from Dr. Tim, from Jeanie, from myself about this whole process? Jeanie's been down in the kitchen just cranking out food. I think she's got 3 days' worth of food all set up and ready to rock and roll. And I got to taste a couple of the sauces. Oh, man, they are to live for. Live, fresh and raw food. One young lady was sharing with me that since she got to Heartland here about 60 days ago, she's taken off almost 50 pounds. There's another gentleman who started to do this work back in January of this year. He came and did a 9-day Why Is This Happening to Me Again intensive in Florida back in April. He came back to do the whole 17-day teacher training. He did the 9-day Why again, and he's taken off over 100 pounds in 7 months, going on 8 months now. So pretty amazing to watch how it happens. And several other people have taken off 25, 30 pounds in 9 days. It's a very high vitality, high energy dietary regimen that we do. Absolutely awesome, delicious food. We get meat eaters who come and say, oh, man, I'm not going to eat dead animals for 9 days. Are you crazy? What's wrong with you? And then by the end of the 9 days, like, I've been full every minute. I haven't been hungry. And if I could eat like this when I got home, if I could prepare all this food, I would eat this way all the time. And, of course, part of the intensive experience is actually getting your hands on the food and having the opportunity to help prepare it so that you get to get the understanding and are able to take it home with you. So that's all part of the intensive process.
the ones that were in the kitchen this morning told me I was very unfair because I was giving them each recipes of solid food, and this is their third day of juicing, and they're like, here we're preparing solid food, and you're going to make us go out and drink a glass of juice. I told them to do a worksheet.
Ooh, boy, just go right for the core, eh, sweetie? Anyway, it's certainly a pretty awesome process. We are so blessed to get to do this with our lives.
Michael, what year did you purchase Heartland?
Heartland, we closed the purchase and started work on the buildings on February the 13th, 1989. It was my eternal day. So we moved in on, we took over, the purchase was done back in January, and February 13th we moved in, and on April I think it was the 24th, we started our first intensive. And it was pretty interesting. That particular April was a cold one. It was unusually cold. Usually April is a beautiful, beautiful month here, but for whatever reason, right up to the day with the intensive started on a Friday, and right up to Thursday night, it was down in the teens, very unusual, and the daytimes were only in the 40s and such. So it's like, whoa, man. And the Friday that the intensive started, it went up into the 70s. It stayed in the 70s day and night. The nights cooled off a little bit down into the high 50s, low 60s, up into the 70s, low 80s for 9 days. And the day the people left after the intensives, and of course we don't have winterized buildings, the day after people left, it went back down into the teens. So we were blessed on that one. That was 89.
Wow. How many buildings do you have on the property?
There are a total of 15.
They're well hidden.
17 acres and 15 buildings.
Yeah, they're well hidden.
Yeah, well, of course, there's up the top of the hill, and so they're kind of spread out. So our call-in number, 646-200-4169. Got a question for us? Want to know what we're talking about? Is there something you need support with? We're here to absolutely support you. That's what this radio show is all about. And so if you have any questions about the forgiveness process and what happens, there's one young man here who just asked me to look at an email that he was writing to his cousin who was having all kinds of really deep relationship difficulty, and he had just been introduced to this work and shared with her after having been in the VA for post-traumatic stress disorder, where all they knew how to do was give him drugs, and it's something that had been going on since he left the military several years ago, and all of a sudden he's found something that's like, it works. He's cleaning up his life. He's cleaning up his relationships. The PST, post-traumatic stress disorder, is just becoming a thing of the past. And it's so cool to watch it happen. We've actually got 4 combat vets here, and the work that's being done is nothing short of miraculous. It's absolutely amazing. I know, Dr. Tim, you've worked with some combat vets up in Chicago. Do you have any observations or anything to share from that point of view? Because we're actually looking toward, perhaps in the off season, doing more work with vets and offering support in that regard.
Well, I think, if you look at some of the testimonials that we're hearing from one of our members here who's had I believe special forces experience and lots of experience taking human lives, and the physical toll it was taking on his body, and the way he's had enormous results just since January using these tools. There's not a whole lot you need to change. I mean, for some people, I think maybe the addition of a couple specific trauma reduction techniques that might give them just a sense of additional support. But if you get people like Michael giving testimonials, either in print or on the radio show or in person with you, that's got to be enough to nudge anybody who's close to being willing to look at their material to start using these tools to move toward health and healing. It's just phenomenal the way the physical body can respond, the mental, emotional body can respond. And I get a wide range of responses from the veterans. This is not to say that, everybody I work with as a veteran gets fabulous results and gets better, and because quite often what happens is I've had 3 different Vietnam veterans in the past 2 years who came to see me because they were trying to get validation that they have post-traumatic stress so they could maintain their benefits from the VA. And as they started working with the tools, they quit having the nightmares and flashbacks. They quit being so rageful, and 3 of them stopped seeing me because they didn't want to get so much better that they would lose their benefits.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's a big piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, you have to have the willingness to look at it. But those veterans that have come to see me, 201, every last one that was willing to do the work saw results and continued it. Because it makes life much more fun, much more livable. It makes relationships possible. The average number of marriages for the Vietnam veterans that I have seen in my practice is 5. That's the average.
Yeah. Crazy and sad.
Yeah, it's very sad what we do to our some of our finest, brightest, strongest young men and women by sending them off to that insanity. So anything we can do to support them once they're back, reclaiming their human life, I'm all for it.
Yes, and I go beyond the word sad. I go to the word criminal. It's a criminal enterprise. So, but anyway, we won't talk about that. But we do need to wake up here on planet Earth. I mean, sooner or later we got to get. Wars never work. It's never going to work. It does make a lot of money for some people, but it's not a benefit to the people who are involved. That's for sure. And they talk about the cost of war, and there's no concept of the cost of war in this country as to what the price these men and women and these families and their children are paying, and then extend that out into the trauma of the alcoholism and the drug abuse and the crime that goes to support the drug abuse and the alcoholism and the child abuse, and then the abuse passed on to the generations, the missing parent, the non-present parent who is physically there but isn't there at all. I mean, the cost is so enormous. And it's just amazing how people just jump right on board and go, rah, rah, yay, we're going to bomb somebody else, hooray. Like, it boggles my mind. But anyway.
Well, as you say, it can only happen when we're unconscious. And we're coming from that space where we don't have good, real accurate data about what's actually going on. And we make those decisions on a smaller scale all the time in our lives, and it always ends up in some form of hostility or fear and the negative consequences that follow. So the key is pick up some kind of tool to help you stay more loving and conscious more and more moments of every day, and that's the only way out of this mess.
Yes, absolutely. And so we have some tools for you, and if you are interested in understanding and putting those tools to work, then let us know. We're here to support you in taking these tools to every mind, heart, and being on planet Earth. So if you have a question for us, 646-200-4169 is the number. Jeanie, do you have anything to share about how the teacher's training is striking you?
I think it's just awesome how everybody is being so creative. And for those who are listening on the radio and don't have an idea of what this is about, we did the 9-day Why Is This Happening to Me Again previously, and that's a prerequisite for the teacher's training. And so everybody has learned the Aramaic forgiveness and how to use the tools and all of that. And then we've taken Michael's book, and it just happens we have the perfect number of people. There are 24 chapters in the book, and then in the 7-step worksheet, we've got 7 steps. So each person has taken a chapter or a step in the worksheet, and they have to present it to the rest of the class. And they can present it any way they want to, whether it's a play, sing a song, draw, whatever they want to do. And so far, the talent that has just popped out has been phenomenal. And like you all said before, everybody's been laughing, but we've gotten the point in every chapter, and I think that it helps it to stick instead of just teaching the chapter straight out, that by seeing it in these different fashions and presented different ways with the personalities of the teachers, that it's just really the purpose, the meaning of each chapter is really sticking with the people. So when they go back, and I've heard them all asking so many questions of how to present certain areas, and so I think they're all going to make phenomenal teachers when they go back and put it to work. But it's just been really cool seeing how this whole group has meshed together. It's like when we do the breath session, normally you and David and myself are floating around doing facilitating. This group is so right on it that it's almost, they can just facilitate themselves. I mean, they've been phenomenal.
Yes, for sure. For sure. So if you're out there listening, what's your question? What's on your mind? What would you like to share with us? 646-200-4169. We'd love to hear your sweet voice and know how we can support you.
Well, one of the things that's come up for me in this fabulous group of people is watching all of the different interactions and noticing my little flight to judgment here and there. And it's fabulous to see this many talented, willing people and to be involved in this level of love and support and still have that little negative voice going off in my head. And so it's been a great learning experience to say, all right, well, I better do some worksheets. And I've done 3 different still point breath sessions so far. And one of the tools we don't talk about all that much is the MindShifter. And I refer to it as targeted journaling. And so I used the MindShifter tool this morning. And again, if you have the willingness, wow, the stuff that can open up. So about 4 years ago, I was here for an intensive, and somehow it came up that a good mind shifter for me, Michael gave me, was it's safe and healing for me in all my relationships for me to be known as a spiritual teacher. And that mind shifter went on for about an hour and a half, and I think it was 8 pages and half a box of Kleenex. And the stuff that came up that went all the way back to, 8 and 9 years old, no big traumas, just different interactions with people that I had interpreted to mean that I wasn't good enough or I was disappointing someone. And I came here this year with no idea. I had several other things that I thought I was going to be working on. And it came to me this morning, actually sometime last evening. And so this morning I was working on a mind shifter about it's safe and healing for me to be known as a spiritual teacher again. And as a testimony to the tool, a whole spectrum of different thoughts and times and events in my life at different ages came up than they did 4 years ago. So while there's been progress, there's still strong resistance to putting myself out there. And part of it comes from the realization that here I am in this fabulous, loving space, and I can still get triggered to negative thoughts. So, who am I to be teaching somebody else about spirituality or, what's right in their life?
Well, of course, the game becomes we teach best that which we most need to learn, and if anybody waits till they're there will never be another teacher on the planet. And oftentimes the excuse of the non-being mind is, well, when I'm ready, then I'll teach. And actually works the other way around. When you commit to teaching, then you'll be made ready.
Yeah. And while I know that intellectually, one of the themes that came up in the writing today was this deep fear of misusing the power. And I don't know where that came from, but it has this really deep old feel to it. So that's just more to explore, and in all of my years of taking trainings and going to retreats and seminars, I've never found a safer or better place to do that than here. So I'm very fortunate that it came up here.
Well, for those who've never done an intensive before, one of the first things that I announce on the opening night of the intensive is that everybody that you've never dealt with in your life, we have invited to come and join us, and they all agreed to be here. And so that everybody's planning is absolutely true, and the people who represent every part of your mind that's unhealed are resonating right into the space. And another fun thing about the teachers training this particular time is with getting to know people. Many of these people have been here for almost a month now, some as few as 9 days, but with getting to know them, how perfect, we do this kind of unknown selection of what people are going to present. Nobody knows what it is they're selecting when they select what lesson they're going to give as the class produces the teacher training or produces the Y workshop. And it's really fun to see how each title is just like custom designed for each person. So it's pretty cool to see how it all unfolds. (646-200-4169). Why is this happening to me again is our topic. And forgiveness is our tool. How can we support you in learning the tool of forgiveness? What can we do to open the space to assist you? Have you got any conflict going on in your relationships? Have you ever taken the geographic cure? You know what I mean, where you go to the other side of the country where people will be different, and the person who picks you up at the airport finishes a sentence that the person dropped you off started. Have you ever had that experience? Well, how does this happen? How do they know what to say to me? Or you enter into a new relationship, and the first thing you do is read the riot act. This is what I will not put up with. And then you wonder why 6 months later you're living with it. Well, this is how it works. It's called creatorship. If you find yourself creating things that you do not understand, that you can't imagine how you possibly could have created that in your life, then we invite you to look into the tool of forgiveness, because what will happen is you'll start to see parts of your mind that you didn't know were there. And it's always sometimes humorous, sometimes not so humorous when people go, oh, my God, I didn't know that I felt that way. I didn't know I thought that. And, in the psychological world, it's well known that we perhaps see as little as 4 or 5% of our mental processes. How much is hidden? How do you get in touch with what's hidden? How do you change something you don't even know is there? You don't. You can't. The forgiveness process shows you from the ancient Aramaic exactly how to uncover those parts of your mind and how to clean them out, how to remove them, how to shift them to where those parts of your mind support you and who you really are. And who are you really? Well, the world is probably giving you all kinds of messages about who you are, very few of them accurate. The world is giving you messages about how terrible and awful and how evil you are and how, oh man, the things I've heard from people. We actually had a woman in a workshop a few months back, and she shared with me that when she was 6 years of age, her father came to her and told her that until she was born, they had the perfect family. And when she was born into that family, she destroyed the family. What a message to give a child. And if we live out of those messages, then we don't live a human life. It's only through forgiveness that a human life can be reclaimed, that we can do what it is that we're really to be doing. And that is living as the humans that we're designed to be and returning to our true essence, which is this awesome, active presence of love. How do you do it? Go to our website. On the right-hand side, you'll see a link that says Download Worksheets. And that link will take you to a space where there are, well, actually dozens of links, but the radio shows where we walk people through the process. They're just amazing. You will be amazed. I'm amazed when I listen to them. Michael, can you start to say something? Go for it.
We have a question.
Hey, Michael, this is Mary Lou on your front porch.
Hey there, Mary Lou, on my front porch.
So the part that I'm going to get to share on our teachers training is all about the replicative mind, about step 5 in the worksheet. And I was thinking that replicative mind, that part of that carbon-based memory, was also something about the Johari window, the part of us that other people know and they can see, and then there's a part that none of us know, that none of us can see. There's a part that I keep hidden. There's a part that I let other people see and I know pretty well. So do you see that correlation between the Johari window example and this replicative mind and the carbon-based memory?
Well, it's the kind of thing where when I go into denial and dissociate, and I actually haven't talked a lot about it in this intensive, but the other thing about what I deny and dissociate from, I wear that on my sleeve. Everybody in town knows it's there except me. And so that fits perfectly, and then what tends to happen is I tend to replicate that experience unconsciously in order to once again get an opportunity to change into myself, to do something different. And so when I can, then everything starts to shift and change.
Right. And so by canceling my goal, which is the driver for my behavior, and that can be either unconscious or subconscious or conscious. I can have a driver that's on any of those 3 levels, and it can also have roots even deeper that be part of the replicative mind that's got deep roots to experiences and experiences that are not necessarily of my generation, but of my heritage.
Yes.
And all of that.
Yeah, I play out literally the energetic patterns I play out based on what I hold within me. And so the tendency is going to be to play those patterns out again and again, just to replicate those. And forgiveness is how you go in and remove the pattern, how you become conscious of, come into conscious relationship with, and by exposing that pattern to love, the energetic underpinnings of the pattern, unlike love, starts to dissolve. I'm going to be bringing down to the class a copy of USA Today the front page, about a good 25% of the page is covered by an article, front page article on how, and it's interesting to watch how the culture speech goes, because they're talking about how people who lie have poorer health than people who don't. So the articles about avoiding lying, there's no reference to telling the truth, interestingly enough, which, kind of looks at or documents how this mind that we call the non-being mind functions and how it's always in avoidance. So the whole article and the research is about how avoiding lying is good for you. Nobody says a word about telling the truth is healthy, but avoiding lying makes you healthier than if you lie. It's just like, it's so telling. It speaks so deeply of the way that we've become so strongly committed to avoiding, and the average person not knowing that the way you bring something about in your world, the way you create it, is by focusing on it. And most everybody's focused on what they don't want to have, and then they wonder why it comes and gets them. It's just pretty crazy.
So the more that I do the forgiveness work, more of that part that other people see, I'll expose some driver, some a memory that'll come up and will help me to unravel more of that.
Yes.
Okay. Because
that's the plan.
That's the plan. Well, when I do the canceling and then inviting Ruka Kakucha to come in and heal, I don't have. See, my replicative mind is going, I don't have something. I'm not noticing yet any discernible shift in my ability to comprehend. I can sometimes get a sense of relief, and sometimes it stirs up more stuff. So I think I'm doing my work. If it stirs up more stuff, then that's also a sign for me. But it's like, how do I know it's really happening? How do I know? Partly because I get that relief, partly because I get the anxiety increases as I remember something else that, oh, yeah, that applies there too. And so is that the first symptoms of really doing that an effective step 5?
Well, I'm going to find that I tend to spend more time smiling at myself than frowning at myself, and it may be a subtle difference. One of the tricks of the non-being mind also is that it takes whatever state you're in and it makes that normal. So when you hit a new, aha moment, you get a new level of insight, you reach a new level of clarity, of aliveness and joy, and most people are very aware of that for a day or two. And what happens is the mind then makes that the new norm. So let's say somebody starts out and the norm is in pain and trauma and turmoil and, craziness, and they go through 10 different major aha moments, and 3 months later, the non-being mind will assess the state. Once the mind has adjusted to make that the new norm, it will remember that, well, my norm 3 months ago was just, this is the norm, and so things haven't really changed. But a good way to evaluate in the long form worksheet, there's a step in there where it says, if you think about, let's say, an issue that you're back at facing again that you thought you dealt with 3 months ago, 6 months ago. Have you got one of those in mind?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so go back. What time frame are you most conscious of starting to work on that issue?
Well, let's go back to my intensive in April.
Okay. So we don't need to necessarily get into the issue, but if you were to do an assessment on a scale of 1 to 100, what was your level of upset back in April around that issue?
Oh, probably 95.
95. So now you're back around and that issue's in your face again. On a scale of 1 to 100, what's your level of upset?
Maybe a 75.
So there's a big difference between, in a major life issue in just a couple of months, there's a big difference between a 95 and a 75. Mm-hmm. But because the new norm is your norm, and the mind just says, well, see, we're just the same because this is my norm. And really, I'm in a whole lot higher place, but my mind won't necessarily inform me of that. And I can't get to the really deep levels of a particular issue until I'm at a level of vitality where I can really crack the toxicity of that open and handle it. So it's going to tend to go in stages, or, the opening. Some people call it the peeling of the onion. I prefer to think of it as the opening of the lotus blossom, that there are new levels that come as new highs in vitality happen. And you'll get to handle the most deeply traumatic aspects of a particular issue when you get to a level of vitality that's higher than the depth of that particular trauma. Mm-hmm. So you can clear many layers and say, and the non-being mind will say, look, I'm just back at the same thing as it was 6 months ago. Well, a 75 is not the same as a 95. It's like a big difference.
Right. Yeah.
And it's a process and there's progress. And
so part of that difference is the vitality, because I've taken action, I've changed my diet, I'm doing more practice forgiveness sheets. So all of that kind of work's been going on, and that's the evidence of the shift in my demeanor about a problem that I haven't solved yet, but I have taken action.
Exactly. So you're moving through it, and it's a process. It's not an event. You can't just say, well, yesterday I solved that one. It's a process, and it takes time, and it takes energy, and it takes commitment.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay. Well, that's helpful because just trying to it does feel like a new normal. Yesterday, I did 2 mind shifters in the morning that I just was feeling so euphoric, and I sang a happy song in the kitchen, and every time I turned around, I was back to singing that little song that was in my head. Today, I feel about those issues just as satisfied and just as committed to where I ended up. But my little happy song is not there because I'm now dealing with another issue. And so I've gone back to a new normal, although I have gotten some more clarity on some issues.
Right. When I looked at you yesterday and you were in the room and you were just beaming so powerfully, it's like, oh, another layer is going to come up, and I didn't get to talk to you. I was talking to someone else, and you walked by on your way down to the center, and I could just see you right here. Oh, another layer is up. Here it is.
Yeah.
Was that accurate as you were walking down to the center? It was in your face?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. What I really found fascinating was that these were 2 mind shifters that you had talked about for me a couple of weeks ago that I just was not ready to deal with, and the resolution felt so wonderful, and it's almost like, well, I think I had to do the other work before I could get to this one.
Precisely.
Trusting the guidance, trusting the willingness.
For sure. And it's delightful to have you here doing it. We're glad you're on the team, and the space you're holding and the support you're being for us and for everybody here is awesome.
Well, thanks. It's been a pleasure. This morning in the kitchen was certainly a new experience of fasting and then making nut loaf. Oh, my goodness. That took a lot of discipline. Yeah, and I had somebody offer me some, and I'm going, no, I think one taste would be too much for me. I would not be able to honor my agreement. So I kept going, nope, I'm not your taster, because no, I'm not interested in taking action that would not be in support of my overall health.
Right.
Yes.
Very cool.
So I suffered through tasting it myself to see if it was salty enough.
Thank you, Jeanie.
Oh, honey, so much self-sacrifice.
Yeah, throw yourself in front of the bus. Take one for the team.
Yes, yes. Well, and I'm now down into. I brought clothes that were when I was packing. I brought clothes that I could wear then when I arrived, and then I brought all the clothes that I had that were too small because I had really gotten rid of a lot of those, and those are now too big for me. And now Lenore left clothes that she could no longer wear, so I'm now in her clothes, and so it's a lot of fun to be finding new ways to dress and feeling so much more comfortable in my skin, and noticing that I can stand, in the kitchen for hours and hours, and while it's not what I want, I don't want to do 10 hours in the kitchen again. I can do it, and I have done it, and so that's a vitality that's really shifted for me.
Your body's got to be feeling so much more comfortable. Overall, do you know what it is that you've trimmed off?
I think about 45 pounds.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's more, almost 5 dress sizes, So
5 dress sizes?
Yeah, from a 22 down to a 14.
Very cool. Well, congratulations. That's pretty awesome.
That's like carrying 3 16-pound bowling balls with you everywhere you go. Can you imagine doing that today?
No, I don't want to. So I choose to put them down. Now I'm sitting over here looking at Julio, who has trimmed down and increased his vitality. How many? I can only imagine how many times he's gone out and had to buy this spiffy new shirt over again since January.
I had him waiting.
Oh, he said he had them waiting. He had been making preparations. Yes.
So ask Julio. Ask Julio where he's at. How much he's trimmed.
Come over and talk to us on this side.
Well, before coming to Heartland, I had lost 114 pounds, and I haven't weighed myself while here. I wanted to give myself a break from tracking it. I'm treating myself though, and I know that I haven't gained any. That's for sure. Because I lost another inch around my waist.
Since you've been here?
Yeah. The belt is when I had to adjust the belt. So I know
pretty
that.
Awesome.
Yeah. But we'll see. It'll be a nice surprise when I get back home.
Cool. That's fabulous. And Mary Lou, when you say 25, you're talking 25 since you got here. How much have you taken and trimmed overall since April in the 9-day?
I said it was 45 since the
45.
end of March. Yeah, 45 since the end of March.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
And it's the difference between clothes that fit, but it's the lines on my face and the ability to have a smile and sing a happy song. Singing happy songs is a whole lot more fun than what I was focusing on in the past.
Well, living as a human being certainly does make a difference, and that's what we're here to support everybody in doing. And we're down to about the last 10 seconds or so we're going to have to close the show out. We invite you to join us tomorrow. Bring a stranger with you, and have the best year yet of your eternal life. Blessings. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to MindShifters Radio with the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce, and his wife, Jeanie, who present the internal Aramaic process of forgiveness. Michael and Jeanie are here every Monday through Friday on Earth Angels Radio. For more on Michael and Jeanie, please visit www.whyagain.com. That's www.whyagain.com.